Hello, good people, and welcome to Hillbilly Cat History, where we explore the times, events, and people surrounding Elvis Presley. Thank you for choosing this video. In this episode, Gladys goes to school. Bob was living on 46-year-old Marion Parker's farm in Mooreville, Mississippi, about 11 miles from Tupelo and twice that from Saltillo, when he registered for the World War I draft on September 10th, 1918. And here I've linked to a documentary about World War I and Selective service so that you can learn more about why America would want to draft 46-year-old Bob Smith. And here we can see the registration card which Bob Smith filled out. If you'd like to see this card in more detail, read it for yourself. You can do so by going to hillbillycathistory.wordpress.com, where you can find this card and the link to the documentary we just looked at to check out for yourself. Bob regularly traveled more than 75 miles for his employment as a carpenter from WCK and Company in Muscle Shoals, Alabama. And over on the right, we can see a map where up at the left-hand corner, there's Memphis. Down in the middle, there's a green dot. That's Tupelo. And over on the right, there's a red dot. And that's where Bob went to work, 75 miles away. And remember, Bob had to get there by wagon. Probably had to hitch a ride with somebody there and back. WCK was Westinghouse Church Care Company, a gigantic ammonium nitrate manufacturing plant, a key ingredient for explosives and gunpowder, both in great demand due to the war. As a carpenter, Bob most likely maintained and repaired plant infrastructure and built forms for concrete pours for new construction. Bob and farm owner Marion may have gotten along very well. In photographs, Marion appears affable, friendly, and father to at least 7 children, giving him a lot in common with Bob. When Marion passed away, many years later on July 25, 1947, this inscription was carved on his tombstone in Bogafolic Cemetery, Mooreville, Mississippi: a devoted husband, a loving father, a friend to all. Over on the right, we can see a picture of Marion. I believe that was his wife, who's on the left, and probably one of his children. Over on the left, we can see a picture of Marion's tombstone, and this is what the inscription was carved on. Marion's daughter Lydia was born the year after Retha Smith in 1910, but survived for only a single month. Marion's daughter Burma was born a year after Gladys in 1913, but passed away just over a year later. Infant mortality rates were much higher than they are today. And we saw that in an earlier episode, and if you missed that one, I encourage you to check it out. Over on the right, we can see a picture of Marion. A lot of children. I don't know if they're all his children or his grandchildren, but I believe Marion must have loved children. Gladys was now 6 years old and began attending school during the 4 months of winter, the standard school year for all children in the area. Schooling was a hot topic in Mississippi in 1918, the year the state passed compulsory education laws, requiring children ages 7 through 14 to attend school at least 60 days per academic year. Over on the left, we can see a slate, which is what children would have written on with a piece of chalk in school. We don't know if Gladys owned a slate herself, but in her family there was probably at least one slate since there were many children. She probably shared it with the other children, but I'm sure she must have written on a slate very, very similar to this. Every morning before school, Gladys milked Farmer Marion's cows, for which he paid her half a pail of sorghum molasses, which she drank as a sweet and delicious breakfast while she walked to school. Gladys enjoyed the social aspects of school far more than the book learning aspects, but Gladys did learn to read, a significant accomplishment for the child of a sharecropper. Reading, writing, arithmetic, these were known by all sharecroppers to be skills which enhanced career opportunities for their children far beyond sharecropping. Over on the right, we can see a young feller who is in Gladys's office milking the cow. By gathering a large number of children together, school provided an opportunity for the kids to play games, such as tag, hide and seek, and blind man's bluff, Gladys's personal favorite, which she often suggested when the time came to play. Gladys enjoyed chasing and being chased. When school was out of session, Gladys went to work in the fields planting, mostly cotton and corn, then the difficult and time-consuming manual labor of maintaining the crop all summer, and in the fall, harvesting. 2-year-old Tracy, Gladys's brother, contracted the highly contagious respiratory infection known as whooping cough in 1918, which he survived, but lost his hearing. Tracy did learn to talk, but as he could not hear himself, many of his words were muffled or garbled. His immediate family could understand Tracy, but the world at large had difficulty. Tracy's mental abilities were also affected, and throughout the rest of his life, he viewed much of the world with the innocence of a child. Would you like to hear a story which has never been published in a magazine or book and never been told on radio or TV before, about one of the first Elvis fans? Check out Hillbilly Cat History's guest appearance on the Ultimate Elvis Facts channel on YouTube and witness the story of Elvis fan Elsie Hood for yourself. In our next article, Gladys protects her family. Be sure to subscribe because you do not want to miss it. Thank you for joining Hillbilly Cat History as we explored this piece of the Elvis Presley puzzle. Stop on by anytime so we can chat again.